This presentation is intended for teachers who use the Titanic game. The role play provides an imaginary setting where students facing a dilemma must make a difficult decision. After, students will reflect on values and decision making. The game in 7 steps. The teacher describes Titanic and her sinking. The teacher explains the 3 roles. Role playing takes place. Observers report the results. The teacher computes and summarizes the result. The discussion takes place. The teacher concludes. Titanic and her sinking. In 1912, on her first trip, RMS Titanic, the biggest and most advanced ocean liner at the time, hit an iceberg and sank in less than 3 hours. Of the estimated 2,224 persons aboard, 70% died. Iceberg and location. The iceberg, thought to have been hit by Titanic at a speed of 39 km per hour, was reported to have a streak of red paint along its waterline. The wreck of Titanic lies about 600 kilometers southeast of Newfoundland. Water temperature and lifeboats. There were only 20 lifeboats that could accommodate about half the person on board. They didn't install more lifeboats to provide unobstructed views for passengers. The water temperature was freezing cold at -2 degrees Celsius. Icy water. This watch retrieved from the site symbolizes life expectancy in icy water. It is very short, often under 15 minutes, even for people who are young and fit. Almost all the passengers in the water died of reaction to freezing water. The 3 roles. The class forms groups of 3, a survivor, a reporter, and an observer. The survivor will save one member of his or her family. The reporter will conduct an interview. The observer will report to the class. The survivor's role. You have a child, a sibling on board with you along with your father and mother. All of you jump in the icy water just before Titanic sank. You are a good swimmer, able to reach a raft that puts you above water. You have time to save only one member of your family. The reporter role. As a New York Times reporter covering this tragedy, you are watching RMS Carpathia approaching New York with all the survivors on board. Your role is to interview one survivor. After the interview, you will hand over your notes to the observer. The reporter's role. RMS Carpathia arrival led to a frenzy, reporters competing to be the first to report the survivors' stories. You will ask 3 questions. Who did you save? Why that person? On a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult was it to make a decision? The observer's role. The observer takes note about the discussion between the reporter and the survivor. The observer reads the report through the class and writes the survivor's 3 answers on the blackboard. Role playing takes place. The survivor has 10 minutes to decide who will be saved. After that, the reporter has 10 minutes to conduct the interview while noting the answers to the 3 questions. Results. Each observer takes 3 minutes to tell the class and writes the results. Then the teacher computes the percentages and average and asks questions like these. Which member of the family is the most often saved? Who is second? What is the difficulty level? How many different motivations are reported? Some questions for starting the discussion. Are you surprised by these results? If yes, what did you expect instead? What do you make of the different motivation given? Are there some refusals to decide in the class? If yes, why? Example: 40% of my students in Pujiang, China choose to save their mother because they are grateful that she gave them birth. 25% saved their sibling and 17% their child. Only 10% saved their father. 7% refused to make a choice and would prefer to commit suicide. Example 2. The role-playing in another Chinese school in Sangzhou revealed that 51% of the students will also save their mother. If the percentages vary somewhat, overall, the order from the most to the least saved person is the same than in the previous example. Discussion about decision-making. Waldorf Astor, the richest man on Titanic, could have saved himself. Instead, he lost his life helping others to get on the lifeboat. Why some people would choose to die while others will cheat to get on a lifeboat? What is your takeaway about decision-making? Discussion about dilemma. Molly Brown and Quartermaster Robert Hitchens were on board this very lifeboat. Molly urged to go back and saved more people. Hitchens refused, fearful that the lifeboat will be overcrowded. What role dilemmas play in our decision-making? Discussion about values. Only 3% of first-class women were lost, while 54% in third class died. Almost all first-class children survived, but almost 70% in third class perished. What does it tell you about our values, our society? Do you think today is different? The teachers concludes. Suggestions of how to make sure that our decisions are aligned with our values can be a starter. Credentials. All the pictures and videos in this presentation are in the public domain. For more information, email me at clager@nlc.bc.ca.